Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm Lorianna Harrison with DLP Marketing, and this is Shelby Lehman with Old Republic Title. We are so excited to have you here with us today, and we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about actually scheduling content and actually scheduling posts to go out, because we kind of talked previously that can be a little bit of a stumbling block to send things out right on the daily basis, because it makes it a little bit more, you've really got to be present. So scheduling and time blocking in advance can be really great, and there's some awesome tools to utilize for scheduling. So let's talk a little bit about those.
Yeah. So for content, I know you've probably heard about that you need to be consistent with how much you're putting out content. And when people don't schedule out, they often realize, oh, it's been a week or two since I've posted something, because you're an agent and you get really busy with the day-to-day tasks. So for me, I think like the first step, if you're an agent, you want to create consistent content, is one, change your mindset. It's not so much creating, but documenting. Okay. You do so much throughout your day that shows your competency, your character, like we've talked about before. And it's an opportunity when you document your day to show your clients how much work you put into this and how much you care.
And like, what would be an example of like documenting? Because there's a lot of paperwork, and that's not necessarily the glamorous side of it.
Yeah.
So what are some suggestions or ideas you've got there?
It could be after a listing appointment and how you had to prepare for the listing appointment. You can even show a quick glance of everything that you have prepared. Say, hey, just about to start this listing appointment. Wish me luck. And then you kind of show like
that's very authentic.
Yeah, super quick. Another example, I just had a meeting,
and it shows the success, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it shows that you're active in your craft. And hey, I've got this listing appointment. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, and so like that's super quick. And then another option is like, for example, I was in a meeting today with an agent, and he had to take a phone call with like the listing agent, and listing agent was newer, didn't really know, wasn't as experienced as he was, and he had to give her several solution options and then give her time to think about it and then come back to him. And instead of getting frustrated with her. And so,
because he wanted to keep the deal together as well.
Yep. And he wanted it to close on time. And so he was like, how can I make that content, because I don't want to seem like I'm complaining. But at the same time, I'm like, this is a great opportunity for content, because it's going to, again, documenting, don't create. So I was saying, create a video and say within the video, hey, if you're an experienced agent and sometimes you're dealing with a less experienced agent, do this. And then, so not only, so you think that you're giving another tip to a realtor, but really that consumer is seeing how much you know.
Absolutely. That agent is showing their level of expertise. And in addition to it, we talk to a lot of agents that always want to grow their teams. And so recruiting is a huge part of that. I love that the consumer would get to see that expertise, and you can recruit and get other agents to see, oh, wow, this is how this team leader would educate me on the team.
Like it comes full circle, I think.
Oh, I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's just literally documenting, and that includes taking your dog to the dog park. So many realtors are like, no one wants to see this, and that is kind of that more traditional mindset of like, no one wants to see this, or I don't want to be vain. But it's really documenting, because you never know what's going to click with a potential client, how you're going to build rapport with them. So first step for creating more consistent content is focus on documenting, because you're going to find that content naturally happens. And then the second part is that scheduling of content. So I'm someone where straight knowing to document, I have so much content, like I have to stop myself. But if you're still kind of struggling to create that content.
Or comfortability with it, right? I mean, I think when we're talking about social strategies, there is a level of comfort. And even, you know, prior to us going live, you kind of suggested something, and I'm like, that's kind of outside of my level of social comfort, even though I'm extremely comfortable in the world of marketing. I think that it's those steps and that consistency of practice that makes it feel more natural, because everything feels a little like, the first time that you do it, right?
Yeah. Or if you're an agent who travels a lot. Like I have a client
Right.
who's constantly out of the country for weeks at a time. And I'm like, I want your life.
Is that for business or pleasure? It sounds like a pretty good gig to me.
Yeah, I'm like, you are living the dream. But for her, scheduling is so key because she doesn't know she's going to have great Wi-Fi wherever she goes. And so it's awesome, especially because now most people are figuring out their strategy for the year, being able to schedule posts so that you know you have all bases covered. Scheduling is, I think, is a missing element for a lot of realtors.
And what tools do you like to utilize for that? We've got a couple of our favorites, but what are your favorite tools for like pre-scheduling?
Yeah, I recommend Hootsuite because they have a pretty decent free option. And then Later, I actually like Later more than Hootsuite.
Okay.
For paying, it just seemed more robust to me. But I honestly never lasted, I tried them to test them out for my clients, but I'm so naturally not a scheduler. I'm,
spontaneous. And this is what I'm thinking about, so this is what I'm sharing.
Yeah, but I wanted to test them out. And so I definitely think if you're an agent who want a free version, Hootsuite's pretty good. And then I liked Later, but then you use a program as well, right?
Yes, we use Sprout Social, and it is a paid version. We need really robust insights and analytics for our clients, and so it's important to us to be able to schedule. We do typically 1 to 2 weeks in advance for our clients, and we go through like the content creation process, we go through the content review process, really doing a deep dive as to what the benefits are and being authentic. I think I mentioned this previously, but because we do a lot with communities, showing dogs, loving the environments and those kinds of things when you're talking about agents going out to, agents taking their dogs on a walk, they seem to get incredible engagements. And so a lot of times when we're working with clients, not only do we, based on however much they would like to be collaborative in the process, we will include them. Otherwise, we are absolutely creating all of the content so that they don't have to do that process. Because some bigger agents and teams, social can be something that they kind of want to set and forget and have it out there. So they need something done that shows that they've got listings, active, pending, sold, open houses, those kinds of things need to be going out. But that's very stoic and two-dimensional. So that three-dimensional part that we're talking about, where there's that character and that authenticity, we are thinking about those things as far as the avatar, like who our client actually is and who's going to relate to them, and create those posts, and then do that scheduled no more than 2 weeks in advance, because things change. So you cannot do a 6-month plan with this. But then with the insights, you're able to see what the viewership rates were and engagements. And one thing, I know we've covered this several times, is you have to respond back to comments. People that are taking the time to actually engage with you, and so will actually respond back for clients. And it's really important, if you've got a third party that you're working with that is handling your social, they have to know your voice. And you can't just have like kind of, we'll get responses sometimes and we're like, that was a bot. There's no way that was like any kind of like real person that was sending some sort of thing that was like 5 stars. That's not a normal response to something. So the responses that we give, we really go inside of who that particular client is or that team, and how they themselves would actually respond, and that's how we respond for them. So Sprout Social is a good option. Hootsuite we've used tried and true over the years, and it is great for the basics because it's free, and you can't get better than free.
And then I think like the services that DLP offers on behalf of clients, that's great, because I know clients that even if I were to pay for their scheduling program, it still would be too much for them, and they need to just have someone take care of all of it. So that's nice that DLP kind of covers that.
It can just be daunting, and really truly it's getting that level of comfort with whatever it is. But I think that if it's too daunting, truly, it's not going to get done, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh, I didn't post for 2 weeks. And when we talked about, getting to see Gary Vee and him really talking about consistency and just content and like having good content and posting multiple times a day, you kind of have to start with the basics, don't you?
Yeah.
So before you start like blowing it out of the water with like 5 posts of really cool things that you're doing throughout the day, you've got to start with kind of the minimum and get that level of comfort with some of the things that you're doing. Now, for you, do you coach a little bit more on the photo side, or are you talking about doing more video clips when you're like, strategizing with agents?
Yeah. It's probably more so video when it comes to Instagram stories. So I've noticed from my behavior, and there's stats coming out on this, we are not scrolling through our feed as much anymore.
Okay.
Our habits are changing to where we are watching stories more than scrolling through the feed. So if you're like me, and I'm following over 2,000 people, so in order for me to see something in my feed, it's like I often have to intentionally check someone's profile to see what photos they've posted.
Okay.
But I see stories. I watch a lot of stories, and they automatically play one after the other. And so that's
like a commercial.
Yeah. Instagram actually, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, tested a horizontal feed structure.
Interesting.
Where you were swiping and it was going to the side versus swiping vertically.
Okay.
And it only lasted for a few hours, and people freaked out about it because they hated it. And then the CEO of Instagram came out and was like, we're sorry for this. Our test audience ended up being a lot bigger than what we thought it was. And so, it sounds like millions of people had this horizontal feed structure for a few hours. I knew people who had it, and they were posting on Instagram, I hate this new feed. And so Instagram is recognizing that people like the horizontal, like the story structure.
Okay.
And so based on the amount of blogs I read, someone within Instagram said, be prepared for 2019 them to be testing the horizontal feed more.
Okay.
And so as far as creating content, video on Instagram stories is where it's at.
Okay.
Because video is where people see your energy, your mannerisms, your personality. There's only so much you can type a great caption in a photo, but video is where people shine and where you really get a feel for the type of person they are.
That gives that relatability. Like, oh, hey, I know you even before they've met that person.
Yeah. Like, how many times have you seen someone on Facebook or even on Instagram, and you end up meeting them in person, and they're a totally different person than how you thought they were going to be? And
based off of photos and
being
able to be so polished in a photo.
Yep. And then you meet them in person and they're totally different. Well, guess what? If they were doing more live video content, or at least just video content in general, you probably would have gotten a better idea of the type of person they are.
Right.
And
if there will be a natural connection there.
Yeah. And so that's why I think video content is very important.
Okay.
Because you really can get a feel for the type of, even like how genuine and authentic people are. Like, you can sense that.
But that's not really part of the Hootsuite scheduling type stuff. Those types of videos are, the stories are, I'm thinking it and I'm posting it right then and there, or I'm essentially live.
That's where like supplementing what's scheduled really helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about, let's just go Instagram specific, and I know LinkedIn is part of your New Year's goals, but if you're coaching someone and we're talking about a good strategy for content creation and touches throughout a week, what are you typically talking about? Like, as far as like 2 to 5 posts, what is there a number that you give?
I always start with, we need to be posting content that you can be consistent with. I'm not going to tell you to post a photo every single day if you cannot keep up with it. I stress that engaging with other people is even more important than how many times you post.
Okay. And let's talk about what you mean by engaging. So I'm looking through my feed and I'm seeing all these great images. Just,
leaving comments.
Okay.
Yeah, you pretty much know I was going to say that. Leaving comments and DM, like direct messaging people.
Okay.
It's so valuable. And honestly, this is how I get all my appointments. So if I see someone post something very engaging, and maybe it tugs at the heartstrings a little bit, or maybe I identify, or it's relatable. Let's say they've posted about a country that I've been to and that I love.
Okay.
I'm not only going to leave a comment, but I might even send them a direct message. So you can press this little like arrow.
It looks like a
paper airplane.
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
So I'll send it to them, and then I'll even do a little video clip in the DM saying like, this makes me so happy that you've been here. My favorite place in this country was this. Have you heard about it? Have you checked it out? And now
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's like giving someone like a real, true virtual hug. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
How much more personalized can you get?
Yeah, and so that type of communication is so powerful, and Instagram allows you to do that. And people ask me, they're like, okay, when you do that, honestly, what's your response rate? If I've ever,
Okay, I am very curious about this.
If I've ever met the person in real life, it's 100% response rate. When I send a very, very random, if it's heartfelt, if there's emotional pull to it, it's also 100% response rate, even if I've never talked to this person before.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now are we talking about the comment that you wrote? Or are you talking about
the message,
when you left
the direct
DM?
message?
Okay.
Yeah. But if I've sent a direct message before where it's like, hey, I see it looks like you're trying to build up your Instagram strategy.
Okay.
If you want to talk social strategy, let me know. Would you ever be open to meeting up? And so that's probably...
And that's pretty informal. Like, I like the casualness of that. Like, not, dear so-and-so. I, like, you know, email can be so formal and all personality can be lost in an email. So I like the informal, like, approach there because it makes you more human.
More human. And then so I actually am currently trying to break this habit of whenever I'm sending a video clip, I say, like, I introduce myself, or I say bye, and like, you don't really need to be doing that because first of all, you only have a short amount of time in this video.
Here's your 15 seconds.
But like, you already see my name, so just like get straight to the point, direct. And that's honestly, I think, why people engage more with like Instagram, because you had 15 seconds within your story, so you had to be concise. Now they're letting you overflow, which I don't really care for because people are not being as concise because they're taking advantage of it. But I probably get 75% response rate if it's a non-emotional direct message and I've never met this person before, which I still consider to be pretty dang good. But if there's any emotional, or let's say if it's a trip about a country, I always get a response rate. It's only when it's business related, when I'm asking for something and I've never met them before, that's where the response rate drops a little bit to like the 75%. So it's like 7 out of 10. 7 to 8, 10 out of the 10 times that I'll send a direct message, I'll get a response. So it's only like 2 or 3 times that I might not.
So, I mean, to any agent that's, you know, kind of watching and listening, it sounds like, so you've got appointments all day, right? We're busy professionals and we've got meetings all day, and then you're up all night on Instagram. Like, talk about your own time blocking.
Oh, I need boundaries because
it can be a full-time job to keep up and respond with stories and to DM somebody a personal, heartfelt message. And so I'm so guilty of doing this while I'm in my car. That's why you see so many car videos from me. But what I love about like the DM video message too is like, I'm driving in between appointments and I see someone maybe post something on their story that like I feel very pulled to for whatever reason. I love sending the video message because I can talk a lot faster than I can type. Sure.
And I'm like at a stoplight and I'm like, okay, I want to send them this message. Or I'm literally asking them a question like, hey, did you see my recent email with your flyer sent back? What are your thoughts? Do you like it or not? I
really?
Oh yeah. I talk so much business in DMs with current clients. And I've had clients tell me, I'm like, what is the best way to communicate with you? They're like, via Instagram.
Wow.
That's happened multiple times.
Okay, I am like, really, I really am just kind of pleasantly surprised that that's what it is, because that is definitely way outside of traditional business. But the deal is that business is shifting. And I was reading an article about Instagram in Fast Company over the holidays, and it was really fascinating. And they were just talking about, you know, not growing pains necessarily, but the changes with the video and the format and those kinds of things. And so this is the new way to do business.
I treat Instagram like my own CRM.
Okay.
And My dream would be that Instagram reminds me if I haven't replied to a message. That would be great. Or like if I could like section off, they let you do close friends now on Instagram. Like if I could just make that like maybe even do clients. And section off that way. But I really do treat it as a CRM, and I meet with so many clients who are building a community off of Instagram, getting deals off of Instagram, and they are treating it as a CRM as well. It's another way to touch a client. And you obviously, like, you have to have the full approach. Like, I don't get business off of solely Instagram. Business is my key to getting the appointment.
Right. Or is maybe the personal touch the key to getting your appointment?
Yeah, it's probably the personal touch too.
I mean, it sounds like that's really kind of we can't say there's a formula to it, but that's just being authentic, being genuinely interested in what somebody's doing, and then asking for the appointment.
Yeah. Like even yesterday, I had to call someone up that I never talked to before, and I was like, hey, and if you're wondering like who I am, check out my Instagram. It's at Marketing for Realtors. And then I found them on Instagram. I followed them. I left a comment. I liked 2 of their posts. And if I'm trying to get an appointment about like helping with social strategy and they see my Instagram, I pretty much always get the appointment. And
absolutely.
And so if you're an agent, I know clients that have literally used this as credibility building when they're in a listing appointment, talking about like this is differentiates you when you have a really solid audience, to be able to say like, and one of the benefits of working with me is I push this on my Instagram, and
your listing is going to be front and center. Here's what I do for marketing, and maybe it's a tour, or maybe it's a Instagram story in that home, showcasing the backyard or something. Well, wonderful. I think there's a lot more for us to touch on here, because clearly we are never going to run out of exciting and insightful ways that agents can use this. But I think maybe the takeaway from today is kind of the scheduling can happen a couple of times a week, but you really want to augment that together with some Instagram stories to show that authenticity. And you can think of Shelby and go and reach out to Shelby on Instagram. What's your handle?
At Marketing for Realtors.
At Marketing for Realtors. So Hootsuite, Sprout Social later, if you want to post, kind of get your content together and pre-plan. And then if you want somebody else to handle it entirely, that is what we do here at DLP Marketing. We will learn your voice and we will make those posts for you so you can kind of set it and forget it. Thanks so much for joining with us. Please give us your comments. Please visit us on Instagram. Let us know what you're interested in finding out more about, and how we can be of service to you in 2019 to help your sales goals become a reality.